Welcome to Bangla City SATV News. This is Nuri Alamin with the headline. In-person classes at primary schools will resume from March 1, said Primary and Mass Education Ministry today. Government has appointed Major General Shakil Ahmed as Director General of the Border Guard Bangladesh (BGB). Indian court sentenced 38 people to death over a string of bomb blasts in 2008 that killed 56 in Ahmedabad. Now the details. In-person classes at primary schools will resume from March 1, said Mahbub Rahman, Public Relations Officer of Primary and Mass Education Ministry today. In-person classes in secondary schools and colleges will resume partially on February 22nd as part of the government decision taken on yesterday. Earlier, the government had to close all classes in schools and colleges for 2 weeks from January 21st. Later, it was extended till February 21st. Educational institutions were closed from March 17, 2020 due to the COVID pandemic and resumed partially on September 12 last year. It was one of the longest school closures for 543 days in the world. The government has appointed Major General Shakil Ahmed as Director General of the Border Guard Bangladesh. Public Administration Ministry on Thursday night issued a gazette in this regard. Major Shakil Ahmed will replace Major General Mohammad Shafinul Islam. Shakil Ahmed's service has been placed with the Home Ministry for appointing him BGP DG on deputation. The notification also said Major General Mohammad Shafinul Islam's service has been transferred to Armed Forces Division for his return to the Bangladesh Army. The order is to take immediate effect, as the notification is stated. At least 5 people have been killed when a truck rammed an auto rickshaw on a local highway in Kumilla on Friday. The crash was reported around 6 a.m. from Shinduriapara in Burichang Upazila on the road to Sylhet. According to the police, the 5 people who were left dead on the spot were traveling on the auto rickshaw. The auto rickshaw was heading towards the Moinamoti cantonment when the truck hit it. 2 others have been taken to the Moinamoti General Hospital. The deceased have been identified as Julhash Mia, who was the driver of the 3-wheeler, and Jahirul Islam, Muhammad Zalal Ahmed and Saiful Islam. The identity of the 5th victim is yet to be confirmed. No dedicated hours, especially for children today, in Omar Ekushe Book Fair, although the fair organizers in past few years kept children's hours on every Friday and Saturday. Organizers said the children's hours were not kept in the fair this year due to the COVID situation. Publishing houses that sell children's books expressed their concern about a possible slump in the sales this year for the absence of the Shishu Prahar. Meanwhile, the book fair authorities have allocated 69 stalls to the publishing houses of children and juvenile literature, the children's corner of the Shoravadi Uddan part of the fair. Viewers, we are taking a short break. Stay with Bangla City SATV News. Welcome back, and you are watching Bangla City SATV News. Now we move on to the international story updates. An Indian court sentenced 38 people to death today over a string of bomb blasts in 2008 that killed 56 in the city of Ahmedabad in one of the country's biggest mass death sentences. Dalia Nilufar brings the details.
String of bomb blasts in western Gujarat state's commercial hub in 2008 killed 56 people, launching shrapnel through markets, buses and other public places. Court convicted 49 people over the attacks, in which more than 200 were injured. The convicted were all found guilty of murder and criminal conspiracy. Nearly 80 people were charged, but 28 were acquitted, and more than 1,100 witnesses called to testify. Police also foiled a 2013 attempt by more than a dozen of the defendants to tunnel their way out of jail using footplates as digging tools. All 77 accused have been held in custody for years, with the exception of one who was bailed after a schizophrenia diagnosis. However, a defense lawyer said they would appeal the verdict in a higher court. An Islamist group, meanwhile, calling itself the Indian Mujahideen Climbers Party, saying the blasts were revenge for 2002 religious riots in Gujarat that left some 1,000 people dead. Talia Nulufer, SATV News Desk.
The death toll from the devastating mudslide in Brazil has risen to 117 on Thursday as authorities continue to search for over 100 still are missing. The number of deaths is expected to continue to rise in the coming days and possibly weeks. More than 500 rescue workers along with citizens are searching for possible survivors as many fear the operation has gone from search and rescue to search and recovery. The latest event comes as Petropolis saw the heaviest rainfall since 1932 on Tuesday, causing massive mudslide and flooding. More than 420 people evacuated their homes, taking shelter in local schools and other makeshift accommodation. Meanwhile, President Jair Bolsonaro is expected to visit the affected areas on Friday after his trip to Russia and Hungary. A journalist associated with Sama TV was shot dead by armed robbers during an alleged snatching bid in Karachi, North Nazimabad area on Friday morning, police said. According to SSP Central Usman Maruf, a 45-year-old man identified as Athar Mateen was returning to his home in the North Nazimabad area after dropping off his children at his school when that was waylaid by a couple of armed robbers on a motorbike near Shah Medical Hospital in a Block A of the area. The police were investigating the case from all aspects. Russia expelled the deputy chief of the U.S. mission in Moscow on Thursday. The State Department confirmed the expulsion of Bharat government, calling it unprovoked. The move came amid heightened tensions between Russia and U.S. fueled by fears that Moscow plans to invade Ukraine. Government was second at command at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow and had an open visa. He spent less than 3 years in Moscow. Washington accused Moscow of misleading the world with disinformation by saying it was returning some troops to the bases, charging that Moscow has instead added as many as 7,000 more troops near its tense border with Ukraine. The U.S. Justice Department has launched a new team to focus on probing illicit cryptocurrency schemes carried out by cyber criminal and national states, including North Korea and Iran. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco says the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team will serve as the focal point for efforts to identify the misuse of cryptocurrency and other digital assets. She stressed that cryptocurrency ecosystem must operate in a manner that can be trusted and policed as the gaining wider adoption. Millions of people have been told to stay at home as one of the worst storm indicates storm Eunice hits the UK. The Met Office has issued a second rare red weather warning to cover London, the southeast and east of England. Gusts of up to the 92 meters per hour have been recorded on the Isle of Wight. Hundreds of schools are closed. All trains in Wales are suspended and the army is on standby. Eunice is the second storm in a week for the UK after Storm Dudley battered barriers on Scotland, Northern England and Northern Ireland, leaving thousands of homes without power. The government held an emergency Cobra meeting on Thursday to discuss the response to the incoming storm. Prime Minister Mr. Johnson said the army was on standby to support those affected. Former President of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who's wanted on drug trafficking charges on the United States, will remain in custody for at least a month as the extradition case against him continues. The 53-year-old is accused of facilitating the smuggling some 500 tons of drugs. The drugs were mainly from Colombia and Venezuela and smuggled to U.S. via Honduras from 2004. Hernandez is alleged to have received millions of dollars in bribes from multiple drug trafficking organizations. A second hearing in the extradition case will be held on next month. An Israeli farmer has been awarded a Guinness World Record after growing the world's heaviest strawberry. At 289 grams, the strawberry is roughly 5 times the average weight of an ordinary strawberry. The Guinness World Record reported its size as the 18 centimeter in length, 4 centimeters thick, and 34 centimeters in the circumference. The record-holding farmer said the cold weather condition in the early 2021 slowed the repining process, allowing for the giant strawberry to continue gaining weight. The record-breaking strawberry was found a year ago and kept in a freezer until the record was confirmed. Now, sports news. Kumilla Victorians and Fortune Borishal are engaged in the finals of Bangabandhu Bangladesh Premier League 2022 today. The match started at 5:30 p.m. at Shere Bangla National Cricket Stadium at Mirpur. Kumilla won the toss and elected to bat first. The two finalists faced each other 3 times in the tournament, where the Borishal won twice and Kumilla secured 1 victory. Borishal is a very balanced team with Shakil, Gail, Munim Sharia. On the other hand, Kumilla's Moin Ali, Mustafid Shunil Narim are effective in any trial in T20. There are not many Olympic sports that involve the sequence, leather and spandex, but figure shaking in the notable exceptions with the ring of the kaleidoscopic disco of the glitter and glamour. There are some most interesting costumes from the Beijing Olympics. There were 2 Elton Zone programs at the Beijing game, but with very different sportial interpretations. At the other end of the spectrum was gold medalist Nathan Chan's Rocket Man costume. There wasn't a sequin inside of the Americans' Orange Galaxy printed sharp, looked more like a running tube than a traditional figure skating costume. Before ending, we go through Indo Bangla City SATV News headlines again. In-person classes at primary schools will resume from March 1, said Primary and Mass Education Ministry today. Government has appointed Major General Shakil Ahmed as Director General of the Border Guard Bangladesh BGB. Indian court sentenced 38 people to death over a string of bomb blasts in 2008 that killed 56 in Ahmedabad. You are up to date with the Indo Bangla City SATV News, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.